Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien sitting in for Paul Harvey this morning, Friday, November 18th, 2022. Stand by for the rest of the story. And this is the story of a chief who got blindsided by you, the Americans. The old Indian chief had seen everything. From his youth to his adulthood, he saw his lands taken by the white man, buffalo decimated by the millions, game gone, lands gone, his people decimated, killed, and starved to death. Yes. And fighting didn't help. They lost every battle they had. They won one, but they still lost. So he made it a point to go talk to the white people and say, well, we have tried to save our lands. It's now yours. And I hope that my people have some room in your world for them, which they never had even today. Have they? And sitting in for Paul Harvey and speaking as a native Indian Central American, I can understand the chief's predicament here. Because you white people, whether you're British, French, or Spanish aren't exactly white, they're a mixture of everything you can think of. Yeah, and Portuguese the same way. But the Italians, for the most part, yeah. Yeah, poor Italians. Yeah, well, you guys have been disastrous. And the Americans most of all. Because the chief sought the attention of one white person, a Colonel Allen, who helped him do tours all the way to the White House, so he said. Now, you got to take this with a grain of salt because, like I tell everybody, as an Indian and having relations with you white people, I can see why my ancestors said, you pale faces speak with forked tongue, because you do. Everything you've done to them has been forked and tongued to death. Okay? And you can't deny that. As Mr. Harvey said on the story before this one, for the same story he did, the chief went and spoke to people. He would stand up and tell the people what he thought and goals that he wanted for theirs and his people together. Unfortunately, he couldn't speak a lick of English, so he relied on Colonel Allen for his translation. Colonel Allen had the most forked tongue I've ever heard in history. He would take the chief's speech and violate it to the most umpteenth degree. He would tell the people, here's the guy who killed General Custer in battle. And he would make up the most vicious lies you could ever think about him. The funny part about it is the chief never fought in battle. He never was near Colonel Custer. Yeah. And 5 years after the speech, well, there was an uprising in the chief's, what you call, reservation, which is awful. You ever been to one of those? Oh, I have. And I don't understand how come the North American Indians don't set up a political party of their own and start saying, we want our rights. Because you Americans treat them terrible. We did. And in my country, we got our rights. In other countries, they got their rights. And they're part of the government now. Took them centuries, but they are. But here in America, you call them savages, dissolutes. A lot of them had alcohol issues. Poor guys. And I understand that. We had the same thing when I was growing up in my tribe. But we got away from it. And we thought. But the American chief, and you guys know who he is by now, was killed in a stupid uprising in 1890 that wasn't even necessary. But it was done out of spite. And though there goes the life of Sitting Bull. A chief who fought for his people both in war and in disgrace. And he still fought for his people. And you don't even give him a credit. Kind of like what you did to Mr. Robert E. Lee, isn't it? If he's up there with Robert E. Lee and the boss, Chief Sitting Bull, I would say, what a disgrace. The greatest American general, the greatest American chief were both disgraced by the pale faces' forked tongues. Sitting in for Paul Harvey. This is your favorite alien. Good day.